Good morning, IT Nation, and welcome to our quickie session here on Cybersecurity Reveal for the upcoming IT Nation Connect, which is next week. I can't believe how fast we've gotten here. So I'm Jay Ryerse, I'm VP of Global Security Sales, and I'm joined by Raffael Marty. Rafi, good morning.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
So far so good. For those of you that don't know Rafi, and some of you probably know me, maybe not all, but some do. Rafi heads up our security product business unit here at ConnectWise, and he's quite often the brains behind all of my crazy ideas. So I'm
I think it's probably a joint thing, right? The crazy piece.
Yeah, we do. But obviously, we're here to talk about a sneak peek of what's coming and what we're announcing at IT Nation Connect next week. And so, look, there's a lot of really neat things going on, and I don't even know where to begin. So let's just talk about some of the product announcements you've got coming out, Rafi. What are the things everybody should know about?
Yeah, look, I'm super excited being out in Orlando again next week, seeing a lot of the MSPs and hanging out. Also, our own colleagues, right? There's a lot of people going to be there. I think, what did I hear? 5,000 total? Like, it's a big number.
Yeah, it'll be the biggest one ever. We've already got more registrations than we've ever had before. The on-site number of attendees, and then add the virtual attendees. It's insane how far it's come in the last few years.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about product. Team has been super busy over the last year, building a whole bunch of different things. You might have seen us announcing certain things already over the last month. We released a couple things before IT Nation. We actually realized we have so much innovation across the different business units of BMS, the business management services, the UMM, Unified Monitoring and Management, and Security, that we wanted to release some things before IT Nation already. And actually, there's stuff that we're releasing after. But one of the things I'm quite excited was the MDR services that we announced. So we've had a MDR service for a long time, one of our flagship services, where we supported or are supporting SentinelOne and Bitdefender as the EDRs. But we launched a new addition to that family by supporting the Microsoft Microsoft Defender for Business. That's always a tongue twister. I can never remember. We are supporting Microsoft Defender for Business now with our MDR service as well. And there's also an option for MSPs that already, or your customers that already have SentinelOne licenses. We can provide our MDR service on top of that. So you basically can bring your own license for that. So that's out, that's running. It's been received pretty well in the market. Super excited about that.
Yeah. So our managed detection and response, right? As you mentioned with SentinelOne and with Bitdefender, we've done it for a long time. In the BYOL, bring your own license model. Again, now you can bring your own SentinelOne licenses, and you can bring, as you mentioned, Microsoft Defender for Business. MDB is how I have to remember it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if you've got partners, if those of you that are listening right now have already got Microsoft Business Premium or Microsoft Defender for Business deployed, you can add SOC services to watch those accounts and take action for you 24/7. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And it's what always fascinates me, right, is we really purpose-built the MDR service for MSPs. I often say, like, from MSPs for MSPs, right? Because, like, when you guys built the SOC, you were an MSP initially, right? And so really understanding how to work with MSPs is just a big benefit for our partners. We're not treating them like an enterprise, but we understand where they're coming from, right?
Yeah, very much so. A lot of things we're doing behind the scenes to help our partners continue to grow their business. Yeah. There's hundreds of assets out there for all of our partners to use, whether they're in our partner program or not, to help them build and grow their business. But you talk about building things that we've been working on the last several years. ASIO is a big theme at the keynote. So what's going on there?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I think probably most people have heard about ASIO at this point, which is our shared platform across all the different products, right? Think of a microservices architecture. You have different components that all the products are leveraging. RMM has been built completely on that. We have a number of security products that are built on it: vulnerability management, risk assessment, SaaS security. there is a lot of stuff we're announcing around ASIO, and I'm not going to give everything away yet, but it's really around how we set out that vision, I think about 3 years ago, and been building and chipping away on this platform, more capabilities on there. And it's the moment where the platform really starts to shine this year. You will see the benefits of having multiple products on the platform, how they just work together, right? You don't have to build and configure like product to product integrations and all that kind of the overhead that comes with that. If the products run on the platform, they just work together. So there's some really, really cool things that we're announcing that really help. In the end, it's all about helping MSPs with productivity. And in the end, productivity and automation really helps you with the bottom line of profitability, right? If you don't have to spend valuable technician time doing manual things, well, that is really like directly contributing to your bottom line, right?
Yeah, speaking of manual things, start thinking about all the work that as an MSP you all experience day in, day out, right? Working through tickets, we always want to automate and move as quickly as we can. And one of the big things that we've been focused on this year has been artificial intelligence and bringing AI into the conversation, to really help our partners do more with less, to get rid of some of the remedial tasks that can be automated. And so what's coming there?
Like everybody's talking about ChatGPT, right? If you haven't used it, go check it out, play with it. It's fun. But it's just a crazy productivity driver. I won't take away exactly what we're going to announce, but just what I wanted to make sure, there's some things around AI we're announcing that they're not just visions and previews and whatever, but you will see AI in action. We're releasing things that are there for you to check out and play with and use right away. So this is not announcements for the future. We're announcing things next week that are going to be you can use right away, which I'm very excited about. There's some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, Jason McGee's been on a tour just finished a tour of the globe, coming to all of our offices and talking to our teams. And, he's very, very excited. He said this is the first time since he's been CEO where he's going to spend the majority of his keynote talking about the things we're rolling out, the innovations that we've worked on. We've been focusing on a lot of things behind the scenes the last several years to make sure that the platform is stable and that we start to improve billing and get things right for partners. And now we're in the innovation phase where we can develop fast and deploy. So I'm very excited about it. And of course, Rafa, you and I are here because we're both security, but it's not just security, is it?
No, it's across all the products. The things you will see, we have the main keynote on the first day, right? Where, as you said, Jason McGee is going to be talking about some things. And that's probably where you will hear some stuff about AI as well. And then on the second day, we have the product keynote where all the GMs are getting on stage and talk about some of the things that are new and how the different products are, as I mentioned earlier, like working together. So it's across everything that we're doing a lot of work. And on the security side, there's some pretty cool things that we're doing. Again, I'm not going to take everything away yet. I want you to really attend the product keynote and some of the sessions, but maybe we can tease some stuff. What do you think?
That's why we're here. I mean,
right.
let's go ahead and give them a head start.
So let's start with vulnerability management. We're adding the capability to do network scanning, which is just like, we got to have it, right? That's super awesome. So far, the vulnerability scanner you had on the endpoint, and you were able to find the vulnerabilities that way. But now you can scan over the network and you see what else is there. So you find all the different IoT devices you have, right? From your hair dryers to your fridges and TVs and whatever it is. That's super exciting. That's vulnerability management. We also are extending our SaaS security product. Everybody out there, you're using SaaS services for all kinds of stuff, right? And we got to secure those different properties. And SaaS security is our product in that space. And we are, again, I'm not going to give everything away here yet, but there's some really cool things we're doing around automating some of the alerts that are coming in and automatically remediating things. So stay tuned for a little more there. And then 2 more items, the ConnectWise SIM, super important product for us. There's some really interesting things we're doing there. One of the areas that I think is very interesting for a lot of our partners is a lot of you have Microsoft environments, right? You might have pieces of Azure, you have like Office 365 components, you have SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, all these different areas that you need to somehow protect. And our SIM actually has content like dashboards and alerts and reports around most of the Microsoft stack. And one of the big pieces we're releasing next week is this content packs, if you want, or these dashboards and alerts and so on around monitoring Microsoft. It's super awesome. We actually even established an entire team that is building content for the SIM. So we'll see more and more very use case specific content coming out for our SIM. So lots of emphasis there. There's a couple other things we're announcing next week as well. And then the final thing I will mention is something that, Jay, you've asked me for personally often, because talking to partners out there, right? I mentioned the platform, right? ASIO, if the products are on there, they just work together. But we have third-party products, right? We have your PSA standalone in some areas that's not completely on ASIO yet. There's lots of work going on there. But cross-product integrations. That's just something like if you have SentinelOne, for example, that you're using with our MDR service, you want to be able to manage the endpoints of RMM. You want to make sure that you can create invoices in the PSA, right, through agreements. You want to integrate with PSA ticketing because that's your tool of engagement, right? Like you're working on out of tickets there. All these integrations are coming online next week. Some of them we already released, but that will definitely help you as MSP, where you have these different products of engagement, to get more integrations with the security tools. So it's a little bit of a preview of next week.
Yeah, and look, integrations have been a key part of the conversation since the day you came on board, and the fact that we can now deliver these faster in the platform and really start to bring security into the rest of the ConnectWise ecosystem, as opposed to being the standalone capability. But pulling into ASIO and pulling some of the benefits there, the workflows, the engines, is really going to make the work that our partners do easier. Because if we can bring security content next to the RMM and IT services content, and make it easier for partners to benefit from that, everything becomes more streamlined. And then you plug in the AI automation on top of it, right? And things get really, really interesting. So 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. Which then really kind of goes into, what sessions should we go into, Rafi? And I've got a big list of ones I'd like to tell everybody to go to, but I would think that, your roadmap and product announcements on Friday are going to be important. What else?
Yeah. In my session on Friday, I'm basically in the keynote. We have like, 10, 15 minutes, right, for each of the GMs to talk briefly about their products. So this is where we have an hour to talk a little more about the different products. You can ask questions, it's a little more interactive. There is not just technical sessions, right? A lot of conferences I go to, it's like the security technical sessions and so on. But I think very important also for MSPs, we have a number of sessions that are around marketing and sales, right? Jay, are you leading one of the sessions on marketing and sales? I forget.
So I was going to. I may have to step out, but some of my team will be delivering a packaging and pricing, and there's really 2 sessions on packaging and pricing. Right? There's one for the MSP side of the business, the IT services side, that we're doing a packaging and pricing specific to security, because that's an area where partners have really raised their hands and said, look, there's so much going on. There's so many tools. Can somebody just tell us what good looks like and how we should take it to market? And so we're going to do just that and make sure that content's out there. That'll be actually one of the very first sessions on Thursday after the keynote. There's several others though that came in. I've got a list here. I'm going to kind of run through a few of them that I think are really interesting. Tony Thomas, who's on our strategy team, is actually doing a panel session called Industry Disruptors. He's being joined by a panel of MSP industry veterans to hear what they're thinking about and where they see the market going. I think that's going to be a really good one. I've listened in. There's budgeting to win in 24. It's a roadmap for how the best-in-class budget for success. That's Peter Kajawa from Service Leadership.
Oh,
going to show and talk about, what is best in class today and how does it compare to what everybody's doing, so you can rate and see where you are. I think benchmarking is a key part of how we look at 2024. Matter of fact, Drew Sanford, who runs our global SOC operation, was on a webinar with Microsoft yesterday, and one of their key points was the need to benchmark. Stop trying to invent where you're going, and let's go look at what the market's doing well and learn from that. So that'll be there.
Well, and just to interject on that one, right? Like service leadership, what Peter is working on, it's just so interesting. The amount of data that we have, and very specific data, right? It's not just service leadership is not just about looking at a survey where we ask you, hey, how is your company doing? Are you hiring? Are you growing? What's your plans for next year's budget? The product or the service collects all these super detailed information about your company, about your financials, and then we mine all that data across the thousands of partners that we get the data from, and come up with these trends. And as you're saying, as an MSP, that's just such invaluable data to look at and understand where you stand, and how can you, with your very unique situation, where can you focus? Where are you behind the pack, right? And focus on. I'm such a big fan of SLI and the work that Peter and team are doing. That's going to be a super interesting presentation, just hearing from him.
Yeah, and look, typically speaking, it has the most attendance. It's one of the most attended sessions. It'll be the top 2 or 3 again this year, I'm sure. And the NPS score from it is always the best. It's the best session rated out there. So I think it's, I strive to meet Peter's bar. He's raised to be best in class, right? All right, there's another one. There's one called The Future of Work, Navigating the 4 Pillars of Change by Jameson West. Jameson West is a former MSP owner. He's been involved in the ConnectWise community for a long time. He's not a colleague of ours. But his 4 pillars are around talent, culture, workspace, and AI. I think that's going to be a really interesting point of view to see what an industry veteran is going to talk about. And the last one on my list that I pulled out, Rafi, is from Chris Lair. Chris Lair from Cybersecurity is doing one talking about how to leverage threat intelligence to protect yourself and your clients for next year. Now, look, Chris has been on our advisory council. He's on our security advisory council. He has been a friend to ConnectWise, but really the whole community for years. He runs a team that's been involved with incident response, helping partners dig out of their bad days. He actually helped guide us on building our incident response team because he couldn't keep up with the demand. Yep. So it'll be a good session around using using threat intelligence to drive. And I know, Rafi, you've got an opinion on threat intelligence, some things that we're doing with it. So pivot that back for a second to where are you using threat intelligence going forward in the ConnectWise security stack?
Yeah. That's actually really interesting. I didn't know that he had a session. That's actually very relevant because we have a cyber threat briefing webinar that we're doing every 2 or 3 months. The next one is coming up in December, where we talk about what we have seen specifically in the MSP space from a threat intelligence perspective, right? Our CRU, our cyber research unit, collects these statistics around what we are seeing. And we do a threat briefing regularly. And this is super relevant because, well, we do the threat briefing, and then with what you're learning from Chris, it's like, well, how do you put that into action? So that's really exciting to kind of connect the dots there, right? I like it.
Yeah, I think it's good. And then of course, there's the product teams. I know that your teams are running focus groups.
Yep.
Kind of align, future state and get the feedback from partners. Anything there you want to share?
Yeah. So basically, the product managers and in certain cases also engineering leaders run these focus groups, and this is a fantastic opportunity for you get in touch with the product teams that are defining the roadmaps and define what features are going into the different products. So these are groups where they present a certain topic. There's something around vulnerability management. We have something around the Microsoft stack. We call it the Microsoft blueprint. How do our products and services tie into the Microsoft stack, right? Helping shape the vision of all of that. So we're really encouraging you to participate in these groups. They're usually actually fairly full. It's a great way, again, to have a super interactive conversation about these different topics. So I definitely encourage you to go into that. Let's see, what else do we have? We have, maybe one of the things I wanted to mention is, there's so many different talks, right? In these sessions, it's often hard to navigate. Where are you going? Which one is a fit for me? And every MSP is slightly different, right? But we have this modes theory, Jay. Do you want to maybe briefly say what that is? That people?
Yeah. Tony Thomas and team have spent a lot of time working with our Evolve members and our SLI to show partners where they are on their journey, and they're classified into 4 modes. And in that mode, we can show you what best in class looks like and how to improve where you are. And there's no wrong mode, right? So it's where you are. We've all got different types of businesses, from, do we want to grow and sell? Do we want to grow and buy? Do we want to just grow and build a, legacy for ourselves? Or are we still in startup mode? And really kind of build through where you are, show you what partners like you do there. And then this year for IT Nation Connect, which was really unique, is that we assigned modes to each of the sessions where we could, so that if you're a business, balance builder right now, and you're in the mode of trying to really get your business structured right and focus on these things, these sessions might help you the most. We also do, we'll also put out content there based on your role or your persona. Are you an owner? Are you a lead engineer? Are you an engineer? Are you a salesperson? Are you in marketing? So that you've got tracks that you can follow that will help provide value to you, because there's so much going on. As the biggest event in the market, it's really fun to go there, but sometimes it's overwhelming, which then brings up one more key piece, and that's our GPS team. So this year, because there's so much going on, when you check in, there's a team that will actually help you build out your calendar for the next couple of days so that you can align, and get the most value from the event while you're there. And so I think that between the modes theory and aligning that, the personas and the GPS team, we can really help you, get the most value out of IT Nation Connect this year.
Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome. I know there's some other stuff happening as well. We have a pre-day on ConnectWise Certify, which is our certification training, basically teaching people about security, right? Is there still space for the pre-day, Jay?
Yeah, we're currently sold out. There's always a little bit of drop off. So if you are coming in early and don't have a plan, it doesn't mean you shouldn't swing by and see if you can get a seat. We've got 2 tracks there. We've got one for sales and owners, and we've got one for techs and engineers. It helps you build that fundamental baseline of what good security looks like, so you can take it back to your team. And there is a certification exam associated with it, so you have a chance to earn a cert while you're there. Hey, Mike, can't wait to see you next week either. You and Steve Cole. It'd be a good time, right? You guys are jumping in the chat and comments. We appreciate that. But what's really interesting to me is not even just the pre-day, but let's talk about keynotes.
Yeah,
because that's what people come for. And if you're not able to attend this year, there are still virtual passes available to attend all the keynotes, so you can learn about where ConnectWise is going and what's happening there. So it's interesting because at our IT Nation Secure conference back in
June,
we had a really interesting speaker as one of our keynotes.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, who is this person? Why do I want to listen to him? So what happened there?
Yeah, Deviant, already the name gives it away. We invited him for the keynote. He's a professional thief. I think that's what he calls himself, or something like that. It was, people didn't know him before, right? Everybody's like, as you said, like, why would you go to this keynote? And then it was packed. and everybody loved it. They even stayed longer. We extended the keynote by like 10 or 15 minutes because the stories you have are just fantastic. And similar, I think, this year at IT Nation Connect next week, we have a guest keynote speaker, Jesse Cole. And I was like, who the heck is that? He's the Savannah Bananas founder.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that? And I think Jay, you know a little more about this person.
Yeah, it's funny. I just got goosebumps because it's going to be the same kind of thing as Secure, which is why I asked that question, right? Nobody knows who Jesse Cole is. He's the founder of the Savannah Bananas, a minor league baseball club in Savannah, Georgia. And he's a hoot, right? Which is just an interesting speaker, but he is a brand maven. Like, he's figured out how to turn the Savannah Bananas into a sell every seat, people wearing the clothing, the brands, that kind of stuff. He's going to share some of the things that he's done to drive success in his business. And I think it's very relevant for our partners today, because look, how do we separate ourselves from the pack? Back when I had my MSP, I didn't sell much that was different than everybody else in the market, but it was my delivery and my messaging and my marketing and those things. And I think it's a key part of who we are in the community today. It'll be a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. And then I think that's the third keynote, right? Like, main keynote, product keynote, Jesse Cole, and then the fourth is actually Microsoft. Microsoft is doing a whole keynote as well. So we have a fantastic lineup there. So make sure to attend all those if you're around next week.
Microsoft doesn't come to MSP events and present. And so the work that we've done with them across the platforms to really build out and start to align with them on future state is very exciting. So I can't wait to listen in there.
Yep.
But what else do we do at IT Nation?
Look, it's like many conferences. I often tell people, right, like, and I go to a Black Hat or RSA or something like that. Some of the most valuable thing is that you connect with your peers. And I keep telling you, like, when you're at IT Nation, you're not competitors on, like, walking around, right? You're people in the same industry. People have the same problems, right? And it's really about building out that community and talking to others. Talk to them about the challenges you have, right? So meet other MSPs, meet the ConnectWise team. There's a lot of us there. Like, we're there to help and talk to you. We're there to meet you, right? That's the reason we're doing this. So corner us, have the conversations you want to have, whatever it is. Bring your questions. There's a solution pavilion. 140 companies exhibiting, something like that. That's a lot. All MSP specific companies, right? We have our pavilion there where come join us, look at the demos of products, ask your questions there, talk about the partner program, whatever it is, right? Like, the pavilion is going to be fun. What else?
Yeah, from there, I'd say if you are attending and you've not downloaded the app, go ahead and get that done, right? Because that's how you're going to set up your calendar and kind of keep track of what's going on. Plus, as you make those connections you talked about, the networking and the time with other partners, you can connect with them on the app so that later on you can find them on LinkedIn and other connections. I know that we're taking everybody to SeaWorld, which would be a good time. I know that people are like, oh, well, but when you lock down a park and it's just, the IT Nation going there, it's a good time, and your families and you will all appreciate that time. And of course, it's networking. Our teams will be there, and again, more to talk to.
Yep.
So look, at the end of the day, coming from security, Rafa, we talked about this yesterday in our ramp up. October was Security Awareness Month. But you and I both know, and sort of all our partners are listening, security is a 365-day-a-year challenge that we've got there. IT Nation Connect is by far the biggest event of the year, but it's not all we do in the community, right? I mean, we've got our IT Nation Secure Conference we talked about. We've got our Evolve peer groups where partners work together to get to best in class. We've got our user groups all around the country. What else do we do that partners should know about if they don't realize how much ConnectWise gives back to the community?
Yeah, and as you said, right, like I I go to a number of these events, right? Some of the Evolve groups, the user groups, and it's always fantastic to just speak with other, like the MSPs, right? And then I see how these communities are building in these user groups, like the regional ones, right? Like they're people that know each other really well. Again, they're collaborating on they're not competing, right? Like, of course, in certain cases you compete with other MSPs, but it's just awesome to see those communities coming together and growing together. Let's see. I mentioned the threat webinar coming up that we're doing in December. Dial into that one. Drew and I will be talking a little more about what's going on in the threat landscape and how that can help you. Also, it's bringing that same message back to your customers and telling them, hey, look, here's what's going on, right? Ransomware is not going away. You got to protect yourself, and here's proof of that. Will help you make that threat intelligence really actionable. I guess the banner has been going around on the bottom here. There's still time to sign up for virtual passes. You can still come up. Also, just you can sign up on site if you want to attend. There's still space, I think, to come in. But definitely, if you don't attend in person, join virtual. And there's actually a lot of the sessions are going to be recorded, and you can go in and watch some of the recordings afterwards as well. You just have to make sure that you're signing up for the virtual pass by, I think, in a week at the latest. Although you can't get in afterwards anymore.
Yeah, so look, a quick note there, Jessica, I'm sure you saw this. Mike Schmidt mentioned that there's an issue with one of the links that we shared. So let's get that out to everybody else. The virtual passes are obviously out there if you're not able to travel, or if your team is traveling but you want to be able to watch the keynotes, you can still use the virtual passes. And look, there's just so much going on out there. I'm excited about all the things that ConnectWise is doing to give back in the community, from working with CISA and Homeland Security to CompTIA and others to help give back. And I think that if you're attending IT Nation Connect for the first time, you're gonna learn more about what we do behind the scenes that no one ever talks about, to really help all of you drive value. And so, Rafi, I appreciate your time this morning on this session. I know that I want to thank Jessica and team behind the scenes for making this possible, and I look forward to seeing everybody at IT Nation Connect next week. So with that, make sure that ultimately, one of the things that I think I want to end with, and Rafi, I'll give you the last word on this, is that as an industry, from a security perspective, we've been talking about protect your house, secure yourselves, and the partner community's done a good job of getting there now. And we're now seeing one more pivot, and that's towards no longer accepting what level of security you offer to a client, that we should be setting the bar for what great looks like. I'm just curious what your thoughts are, and then we'll wrap up from there.
Yeah. I mean, you teed it up perfectly, right? It's what we're seeing is you got to almost go out there and I'm going to use the word dictate to your customers what the right security stack looks like, right? If you're going out and you're like, hey, customer, what kind of security do you want? What are you willing to pay for it? It's not going to work, right? They're not. You're doing them a disservice, because they're going to try to spend the minimal amount of money, and then they're not really secure, right? But it's really about dictate to your clients what secure is and how secure looks like. And that, in the end, if you flip it, you're helping them protect themselves, right? Or you protect them. But it also, very selfishly, it will help you create revenue and hopefully also a very profitable business that you can run and continue delivering these services into the market. So with that, Jay, I'm super excited to see you in person next week in Orlando, and obviously all the MSPs, everybody is listening, and then everybody that's not listening as well, right?
Yeah. So Rafi, thank you, and thank everybody for listening in. And just a quick reminder to stay safe, stay healthy, and of course, stay secure. Thanks, everybody.